Welcome to Life Leadership, where awareness is increased and lives are changed. No matter your current age, outlook, or situation, our informative transformational subscription products can help you start living the life you've always wanted. We hope you enjoy this small sample of the Life Leadership experience.
There's a 9-year-old girl who was being raised in Sicily between World War I and World War II. Her father was a small-time merchant, and he made a deal with the prince that lived in the palace on the hill, the last prince of Avignon. And he traded his daughter to the prince for a horse. The little girl would cry in bed at night in the palace, and she would sneak out and steal a horse, and she'd ride through the valley and go to her dad's little shack and walk back in the middle of the night like she'd never left and crawl in bed with her little sister, and they'd sit there and cuddle and just cry. And the dad would find her in the morning and throw her in the back of his pickup truck and drive her back up to the palace. And this happened tons of times. She finally deals with the pain. She grows up in the prince's home. He's a benevolent man. She becomes a gorgeous young woman. Everybody's whispering about why the prince must have her around. She finally asked the prince now. She's a young woman of her own. She knows how the world works. Her innocence was gone long ago when her dad disowned her so coldly. And she and the prince get into a conversation, and she says to the prince, "Did you buy me from my dad for illegitimate reasons? Did you raise me to be your mistress?" And the prince was shocked at her bluntness, but he knew the question had to come sooner or later. He said, "No." He said, "My father was a giving man, and being the wealthiest man around, people would bring him unwanted babies and orphans all the time, and they'd stick them through the fence, they'd put them through the gate and leave them there in the morning, and my father would take them all in. But by the time he died, most of the family fortune was gone, and they asked me to marry a rich countess to keep the family fortune going. So they arranged a marriage for me, and you know my wife, and she would never allow me to take in any children. So when the babies were put through the gate when I was the prince, and the orphans were brought to us, I was not allowed to keep them in my own home. But I would always take them to the church, and I would set up a secret stipend, and I would take care of them no matter how much money it cost. And I'd check up on them and send them little presents and try to give them my love. But never," he said, "have I ever seen a grown man in perfect health with a thriving little business merchandise away his 9-year-old daughter. And my wife, even my wife, was cracked by it, and she said, 'We'll take her in.'" And then he turned it on her and he said, "How did you process this in your head? How have you not become embittered? How have you grown up and blossomed and flowered? And how are you so bright and so alive? How can you shine so brightly when this how did you process that when you were 9 years old? Your own father did that to you." She told him this long drawn out story, and she mentioned this guy named Signore Brasini, Mr. Brasini. And she said, "It was once I saw Mr. Brasini in the fruit market one day that it all came together for me." He said, "Well, who was Mr. Brasini?" She said, "Well, there he was in the fruit market with his wife. And I saw him reach up with both of his hands and touch each side of her face ever so gently, just kind of cupped her face in his hands. And he kissed her right on the lips, right in front of the world. And they laughed, and he put his arm around her, and they were giggling and cuddling, and they walked off arm in arm and kind of sashayed out the fruit market. And I watched Mr. Brasini cherish and love his wife. And I realized the problem wasn't with me, it was with my dad. I tried everything I could to replace my dead mother. I tried to cook like she did, and I tried to clean like she did, and I tried to be good like she was, and I tried to say nice things to him, but whatever I did was never good enough for him. It was nothing but anger and hatred out of him all the time. Cold, heartlessness. And I thought that's how the world worked, and I thought it was something wrong with me. That's all I knew. It was the only world I ever saw. And then when you bought me, you can imagine what I thought of you. But then I saw Brasini, and I realized my view of the world that I'd been shown wasn't true everywhere. That there were men who were kind, and there were men who were good, and there were men who would cherish and love and idolize their spouse. And I grew up to realize that you, Prince, are a Brasini too. And I decided I was going to be a Brasini, and I decided that I was going to find a Brasini for myself. Now, the reason I tell you that story is because that's what we do through the 8 F's. You may have grown up in a home and you were abused. You may have a heartbreaking story to tell that could rival that 9-year-old girl. You may live in a home right now and you're terrorized by your spouse. You may have this cracked view of how it is to live because all you've ever done is looked out of a broken window at the world. And I'm here to tell you, it's not supposed to be that way, and it doesn't have to be that way, and it's not your fault if it's happening. But all we can do is show you the straight line so you realize it doesn't have to be that way, you don't have to be that way, and it can stop with you. You can start it right, you can make a straight line, and you can be a Brasini for somebody else. That's what we do through the 8 F's.
Part 1, Purpose. Efforts and courage are not enough without purpose and direction. John F. Kennedy.
You see, so many times in life we've got to recognize there are many people that know what they're doing. But do you know why you're doing it? Because the organizations and the individuals that know why they do what they do endure through the tough times so much better than someone that may have the technical knowledge of what to do. I followed these concepts on purpose for a long time, but I was really impressed with Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why. I loved how he described it, and I want to draw it out for you. He called it the golden circle. He said you really have a circle that has several levels to it. And on the inside is the why. And then the next level is the how. And only the last level is the what. But one of the key things to remember is people don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. Stephen Jobs, when he was wanting to hire a new CEO, one time he's talking to him, and the guy worked at Pepsi-Cola. And he was trying to convince him to come on over. And he said, listen, do you want to sell sugar water the rest of your life? Or do you want to put a dent in the universe? Now, I'm not picking on Pepsi, but what he's trying to say is, what's the difference? How much sugar someone gets in is not really going to change their life. But over here, if you worked with us, man, we could put a dent in the universe together. And that's the type of big picture. Start with the big picture. People want to buy into a cause. People want to do something bigger than the average. You've got to know why you do what you do. Then go into the how. Then finally to the what.
I'll tell you.
So on that note, quote for the day. Yeah, just like I said, y'all, if you want no more information on how to get into this opportunity or even sample some of our wonderful products on personal, professional, and financial development, just inbox me. I'll give you that information in the link that I'll send you. And whatever the development piece, financial, personal development, I will show you where to get those. And also to the first night pack. And that's what some of the things entail. So I hope that you can really sincerely think about how this can benefit you. And I hope you enjoyed that story. I really did. And to see that it's not more so about what we sell. It's about the cause of why we do what we do. So, in case you missed it, Mark Page at Mark Page says on Twitter, Benjamin Franklin said, penny saved is a penny earned. A penny saved is actually more than a penny earned because a penny earned is taxed. I just love how this thing goes super slow when I'm trying to get done here. Orrin Woodward at Orrin Woodward says, don't spend your time making money, spend your money to make time. Hashtag TLAYW. Hashtag a million green boxes. Hashtag financial freedom. Mark Page says at Mark Page, there's a choice you have to make in everything you do. And you must always keep in mind the choice you make makes you. Anonymous. Lori Woodward at Lori Woodward says, God can turn our mess and misery into a miracle. And finally, Orrin Woodward says, in leadership, never do anything for someone that they are capable of doing themselves. Tim Stevens, all men make mistakes, but married men find out about them sooner. That's so funny. Okay, let's ask a married person. They'll tell you what's up. Mark Page at Mark Page says, to build a powerful team, you must be willing to be surrounded by people who are better than you are in some area. Stephen Mansfield. And that is our quote for the day. If you have questions, concerns, inbox me after 9 p.m. It is pre-recorded. If you missed some of the show or you had to go, I do appreciate everybody that stopped by for this awesome life business review. Tune in to more updates on things and tune in more for more shows and episodes on the Boss Ladies Live radio show. I will see you soon on the next show. Good afternoon, morning, and evening, because that's really all I had to say for tonight. And I will see you soon. Peace.